Larporiya Sattva. Trust, it's what we build. Presents The Realty Debate with Manisha Natarajan.
Just about every marketer or business owner in India is racking his or her brain to catch India's young working population's imagination and make him or her their customer. Popular term used for these people is the millennials. So it's not surprising that CBRE has come out with an interesting report which offers insights into how India's millennials live and work, hoping that this will offer us some indicators on future demand trends for residential and office spaces. Welcome everyone to a fun debate, much needed fun debate to lighten the mood on real estate, on what India's under 30 really want. And remember, 65% of Indians are below the age of 35. So it's a big number of population that we're talking about. Anshuman Magazine Chairman India and Southeast Asia CBRE joins us, as is Gitambar Anand, CMD, ATS Infrastructure Limited and President CREDAI. Baman Irani, CMD Rustamji and Vice President MCHI CREDAI with us from the Mumbai studio. Vikram Goyal, CEO HDFC Realty. Harish Bijur, brand expert and founder Harish Bijur Consultants from Bangalore. So you've got all corners of the city covered. Now, let me just give you the report highlights, and then, of course, I'm a worried mother after this report. The report says, how do the millennials prefer to live? 82% of Indian millennials live with their parents versus Australia at 35% and China at 61%. Now, you might wonder why I'm worried. I don't want my kids staying with me forever. 25% of Indian millennials have no intention of leaving the family home. Sweat. Okay, 65% of millennials aspire to buy a property in the future without compromising on the quality of life. So that's another worrying factor. And I'll tell you why I worry. Millennials in China and India displayed the strongest intentions to buy their property in the near future, and demonetization or not, for Indian millennials, property is still an investment. That's the key driver for buying property. In China, it's stability. 68% of millennials in India prefer to rent rather than buy a property, and 73% of millennials are unwilling to travel for more than 45 minutes to the office. That is the highlight here, or those are the highlights that we're going to talk about. So first, to the gentleman whose company has come out with this report, Anshuman, what is the big takeaway for real estate from this report?
See, first of all, that it is true that the future demand will come from this age group, and they are more, not only they are looking to, because of mobility now, people are leaving home. So one end, of course, most people don't want to leave home, but the new jobs are coming out in different cities. So besides people who are staying at home, the others are going out. For them, it is more of community living, you know. It's not today, they want to live in areas where there's entertainment, where they can interact with the other people, where there's a community kind of living. And if you look at a lot of the new developments which are coming up, all the developers, you look at Gurgaon, Mumbai, everything, I think it caters to quite a bit of what the millennials want. Because it is where, if you look at, gated community with all the facilities, and one point you mentioned that they don't want to be far from office. Workplace is extremely important. So in the old days, it was okay, workplace is not important. If you have a good job, good brand, and you just give a basic workplace, that's definitely out. In fact, one of the things the story said that, our survey said that, that when they're applying for companies, the workplace has a high percentage of rating for them to join that company. So it's not only good enough that you're getting a good salary, you're working for a good brand, they want a good working environment to work in.
In fact, 20% even said that they're willing to take a salary cut for a better office space. Harish Bijur, I was really smashed to hear that. That I'm willing to take a cut in my salary for a better office environment. I mean, this is what has become important. So if you've been able to go through the report from a brand man's perspective, how do you capture this young generation between 22 and 30 years? What are their priorities when it comes to living and lifestyle?
You see, first of all, the definition of the young itself is changing, because 40 is the new 20. And, to that extent, when you say 22 to 35, I mean, we're really talking of a vast swathe of a young audience. Now, this audience is much more intelligent than the older audience, because older guys used to be very, very craving for salary, were craving for a good name, a brand name, a company, etc. But the youngsters are much more resolved in their lifestyles. They want a good lifestyle. lifestyle, they want a good office, they want good work-life balance. And I think anything that offers that, they're going to gravitate towards. Never mind that 20% pay cut, because the pay cut doesn't mean too much to these guys. They're much more intelligent than the older guys in the market.
Oh my God. So collectively, I think this panel has been declared as less intelligent than anybody under 35, other than Baman, who is of course only 25 right now. Baman, come in here and tell me, seriously, what is it? I mean, you must be having a lot of young buyers, or do you think that Mumbai is so expensive that age group hasn't started buying yet? When do you get your buyers into that buying decision? At what age?
So I think mostly the young buyers are in the age groups of 30 to 35. See, these guys want practicality. I mean, they're a lot more practical than the earlier guys used to be. They don't really mind a smaller home as long as there's a larger community space around it. They want very good eating and drinking facilities around their places. They want to socialize a little more often. Talking about places of work, I think it's perfectly acceptable to work in a great organization and make some less, because finally money is not the end all of everything. Further, these guys, they have a totally different set of demands. I mean, most of these guys want to be a lot healthier. So they want the usual facilities or the better facilities of gym and a clubhouse, etc., situated in their complex itself. And they're ready to pay a little extra or rent it out a little extra than they would in an older building. So now these guys, if you look at them, they're a lot more educated, a lot more confident about what they can do with themselves. They're a lot more intuitive in terms of what is the kind of lifestyle they want to live, and they're discovering themselves through their passion itself, and not really through any kind of material gains whatsoever. So they're looking at a better life. They're looking at more amenities built into the house. They don't want to go through the trouble of designer wear or designer furniture. They're happier with IKEA kind of practical furniture. They want their houses to be Wi-Fi enabled. I mean, at any point of time, if it's possible, they want the city to be Wi-Fi enabled. So you look at it, it's a changing trend in the way they want it. At the same point of time, a certain number of them want luxury, but their luxury is also a little different from opulent China wear, etc., and more to do with the kind of lifestyle that they lead. So they'd invest more in a comfortable bed than they would in a grand dining table, just to give you an idea.
All right, those are very interesting takeaways. Gitambar, come in here. So I know that this report actually captures the buying preferences and living preferences of millennials. Of course, it's a changing definition, but here the age group is 22 to 29. Seems like this is not even an age, perhaps Bangalore and Pune might be, but in Mumbai and Delhi, I think it's more like 30s when the buying decision begins, doesn't it?
That's true, that's true. And also, see, Manisha, if you speak to a youngster, from 25 to 29, the chances are they're not married yet.
So they will live with their parents?
No. They will, but the change in mindset happens post-marriage, when they don't want to live with their parents.
All right.
The wives are very insistent, I want my own house and own kitchen.
Okay.
So these things will never change. And the other thing is, what was your sample size, Anshuman?
That's a good question. Actually, I don't know. I have to check with the research.
Yeah, you see that. You see, I'll tell you that 40 is the new 30 and 50 is the new 40. So today, I mean, we may be old, but we are a part of this. We're just about there. And the thought process, the mentality, if you look at the Indian mentality at large, it is still very much the same.
Okay.
The wife wants security of a house. The wife wants a house which has at least 2, if not 3 bedrooms. This won't change because, it's one is for the couple, one is for the kids, and one is for either, grandparents of either the boy or the girl. So these things will never change.
Okay.
No matter what your survey says, this is bound to change once the child is married.
Okay.
Definitely the parents would want them to stay with them, but the child would not want to stay with them.
Right.
They will today see real estate as an investment, but once they're married, they want to see it as a property they own, where their kids, they go to school from there and they pass school from class 1 to class 12 from that location because they don't want to change the school. These are practical aspects of life which you cannot ignore.
Okay.
So going forward, I don't think much will change. It's only that what Baman said is very true. They expect more. They have certain specifications on the way they want to live. Coming to office space where they're willing to take a pay cut for a better office space, that is true even of people of our generation. You know, we have people in our company who are willing to take less because they prefer a better working environment.
Okay.
You know, because job satisfaction is a very big thing. So therefore, that pay cut thing applies to everybody across the board. So all in all, I see things as they are today. Only that we as developers have to spruce up our act. We have to give a better product. We have to look at what's happening around the world and offer that to our customers. The buyer will remain the same. The mindset of the Indian, the DNA of the Indian mindset will not change.
Okay,
In
fair
fact-
enough. So you're saying the basic DNA won't change. Let me bring in Vikram here and I will come back to you, Anshuman. Vikram Goyal, are you seeing that change in developers? We've always been talking about transparency and professionalism, but do you feel that developers have become conscious of the kind of product they need to bring in the market and trying to capture the changing needs of the younger generation?
In Bangalore and in Pune, if you see, there are a few projects where we recently seen that before they are conceptualizing a product, they take a lot of detailing from us in terms of who the actual users are. Now, if their users are the Series 35-40, which is technically the buying category of today's real estate, then the configurations are very different, and then the configurations are much to what Gitamba just now mentioned. But increasingly, a lot of them, and I remember a project in Pune where we were sort of giving our consulting services, they were very, very conscious of the fact that there are a lot of youngsters because it's close to Yon IT Park in Pune, and those guys will trade off, say, a private space for a better public space, which means what are the amenities in the building? Is there a jogging track there? Do you have a swimming pool there? So maybe they can only afford something worth 50 lakh rupees, but maybe they would not look for a 2-bedroom, but they might look at something which is more 1.5 bedroom. But the community has to be good. It has to be close to work. So I think these things are finding more dominance in discussions than ever before. But for me to say broadly, have builders taken cognizance of this fact and changed their configurations? I think a few have done it. Largely, even today, the consumption is done by the 35-year-olds who buy properties technically in India. But I think looking at a conceptualization to commissioning period about 5 to 6 years of projects for large projects, I think in the next 2-3 years, we will have to take notice of this fact because the millennials are growing. They are about 700 million in numbers, if you look at 65% of the number you mentioned. And that's a very, very large population. So I think these guys will come with a different tastes, different demand patterns, and they're very confident. The consumption styles are very, very different. The 40-year-olds of the generation I belong to, we still believed in saving. I don't think these guys, they believe in saving, but I think their priorities are very clear. They are consumption-led people. E-commerce is growing because of these people. They're very comfortable in spending online. And the kind of spends they do, the youngsters in my office, I can't do at times. So I think that's very visible of what's happening.
Anshuman, in fact, I heard a developer saying, look at all that we are competing with today. We're even competing with an iPhone. I mean, you know, iPhone 7, you would probably end up spending 65,000, which is your first bulk payment today if you get into a good subvention plan. So yes, this is a new sort of creature one has to deal with. The basics might not change, but a lot of what they need or demand will change. What is your own assessment in terms of how the developers are managing to change with this wave?
So the CBRE survey also says that India has the largest size of houses even compared to China, Japan and Australia. So the size is high. So even in places like Japan, which are more advanced than India, the size in India is larger. And the primary reason again could be the family and
which
you know,
is
how
what
people
Pitambar
stay.
said. He wants one for the kids and one for his parents and one for himself. So 3 bedrooms is considered as the most ideal.
It's an aspiration.
So he's absolutely right. However, I feel the change will happen faster than we expect. I don't think things will remain the same going forward. Yes, the basics are same. Culturally, there are a lot of differences, and they showed in the survey. So, for example, in India, most of the millennials want one of the aspirations or one of the things they expect is eating places near the office. In Australia, it is more rest and recreation, gyms, etc. Of course, in India also, but I'm saying the percentage is more because, and then you can see the Australia culture is sports, outdoors.
But that's an interesting takeaway that you want more of food joints and rather than and I would totally agree with that. I mean, look at Australia and how much more active it is as a country.
And there's an example, if you look at Cyber City in Gurgaon, there are a lot of, traffic is there, getting there, but a lot of the people, the youngsters working, they don't want to go in because of Cyber Hub. I mean, normally I don't give examples of specific development, but this is a unique one. And people, because that has really, Cyber Hub retail being helped by the office, but here even the office is, people are there because there's a huge retail hub. So a lot of things. So there will be changes. So I don't think the changes, and I think a lot of times we feel that, it'll take long, but I think it'll be a shorter time where the whole millennial demand will force the market to adapt to their requirements.
Okay. Harish, what would your word of advice be for the developer community, and the kind of product they should design or marketing initiative that they should take up? Free consultancy for every developer who's watching the show.
Okay, my first piece of advice, the free one, is really about saying that, first of all, believe in research. I mean, if there is this piece of research, please believe in it. Secondly, I'd like to say that you youthify your marketing. I'm actually corrupting a word called youth into youthify, because, most developers, most people who are into property developments are guys of my generation. And I think we need to really think below the 50s. We need to think of getting younger in the marketing mindset that you bring to the party. So if you're a real estate guy, please empower the younger guys and please listen to them, and don't give that bit about saying, I've been 20 years in this market, I know things and I know the way things pan out. So I think that's important. And the last piece of advice is, India is going to be a different development for the millennial, because the millennial in India is really on the cusp of the old and the new. If I look at the new world in real estate, it really is Japan. And all of Japan is into the miniaturization mode. Whereas India used to be in the magnification mode. Some of the oldest apartments that came up in India had the largest bedrooms. And the trend over the years has been, the bedroom sizes have been becoming smaller and smaller. It still is a 3 BHK. But what used to be a large bedroom is a miniature bedroom today. And I think don't go too far on that, because somewhere the bubble is going to burst. And the millennial of India is actually on the cusp between the magnification and the miniaturization that real estate has seen. So be careful, tread softly, believe in research, think young, empower the young.
Okay, I think Gitambar has something to say. Very quickly, Gitambar.
I'll tell you this, it's us who's putting the money over there. So we are not stupid just to be adamant and say, no, I believe this is it and this is what I should do. Research has to be well-founded. You cannot put your money on a research with a small sample size. Let me tell you about our own experience about making smaller apartments. So, Manisha, in 2 developments, we made smaller apartments, 2 bedrooms.
Right.
They didn't sell. They didn't sell at all. The only module, it is a question of affordability in Japan. It is a question, it all boils down to affordability. Everybody,
Mumbai 2 bedrooms
absolutely, the smaller bedroom sizes, because you want to make the apartment affordable. So it's not a thumb rule that people prefer smaller bedrooms. They don't. Let me tell you, aspirationally, they would like a decent sized bedroom where there's a sitting also. But it's because it's not affordable, so then they end up buying smaller apartments. 2 bedroom apartments, I asked people, so when we couldn't sell, so I asked, and these people were young people, 30 is young.
Yeah.
I said, why are you not buying a 2 bedroom apartment? It's very affordable, and they said, we need, if not 2, at least 2.5 rooms. Because we are planning to have 2 children.
So it's specific to markets. All right. So research, yes, but some amount of experience obviously also throws up some insights. I'm going to conclude with last, observation from Vikram. Vikram, sum up the market as a whole, and tell us smaller, bigger, Wi-Fi, not Wi-Fi. Do you think that real estate will be a priority? So we in our generation were very sure. We had a comfortable, settled job. House was a priority. To own a house was a very big social, let's say, social standing, and up my social standing. Do you think millennials will continue to feel that way?
Manisha, I would sort of step back to what Harish said and what Gitambo said, and I think we have an answer there. Harish said, and the CBRE report, which we've been quoting here, it says the millennials will change the way we think, but I think it's going to take a few years. These are 29-year-olds right now. Typically, they would prefer getting into rental accommodations. India is not a place where rentals as a possibility as of now exists too much, because we don't have managed rentals the way we have globally across. We still don't have social securities, which Gitambar has been saying. So thus, for them, buying a house, having a social security, affordability is not an issue much beyond Bombays of the world. So as far as location is concerned, as far as it's close to their workplace is concerned, people would love to buy properties even going forward, short term and medium term. What we need to have is probably have an eye on these millennials who are about 22 to 29, 45% of which is about 26 to 29, who might become buyers in the next 5, 6, 7 years, and maybe they would prefer rentals for some time. Maybe that will involve some more residential REITs coming in because ownership structures will have to change. But if people have to buy or the REITs will have to buy, you still need to have houses. These houses in 5 years from now or 7 years from now have to suit them, which means it has to be digitally more appealing, it has to be Wi-Fi enabled. If you can afford a 2-bedroom, why not? And maybe have a lot of community sort of benefits, which includes things like home-like dining spaces within the projects which don't exist today because both husband and wife will be working, so who will cook in the house, and the help is only becoming rare going forward. But I think this is going to take some time. The Indian buyer still is about 30, 35 years of age, and the millennials will impact the rental market in the short term, but eventually in the next 5, 7 years, when we have the medium and the long term coming, the REIT trusts and the ownership structures will come in.
So what, you take it from there. He says they will be ready to buy in the next 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And when in those next 4 to 5 years, the way they think is going to change for certain because they'll be married, they'll probably have a child. Everything changes once you get married and you have a child. Everything.
All right, gentlemen, on that note, very aware that yes, you have to be very careful of what the new generation will want, but some basic values for Indians, whether they're 25 or 35, are not going to change. Thank you so much for joining.